Extraordinary life forms collect around 5 meters below and above the water's surface.
My name is Joe Bunni. I use this technique to take photographs of the seas and oceans all over the planet. My photos show the wonders of nature living between land and sea.
But they also reveal the pollution and climate imbalances, which reminds us that our world is fragile. We want to convince you that there's a problem and that we must protect our world. We will take you to some rare and preserved sites in these last sanctuaries that bear witness to the beauty of our blue planet. In this episode, we'll journey into the open sea, home of the tiger shark, photographed in the Bahamas. This will be a very risky dive. Dr. Gruber studies sharks in this unique laboratory, and he will share his discoveries with us. The ocean is becoming a giant dumping ground. Boyan Slat, a 20-year-old Dutch boy, is developing a slightly crazy project to collect plastic and clean the sea. We have come to Maratua Island, off the coast of Borneo, the last reef before the open sea.
I've often dreamt of this place, diving here alongside sea turtles. I spot one of these mammals, which regularly come to the surface to breathe.
Green turtles and Hawksbill sea turtles come to rest on a large underwater cliff. In calm waters, they can stay here for many hours before swimming up to breathe.
After hunting at high tide in the open sea, they come here to rest during low tide. This is low tide, so we're going to try and find them and catch them on camera.
It's rare to see such a high concentration of turtles. They come and go quite peacefully. This site has never been touched by human invention.
It's a sanctuary, which I hope to share with as many people as possible through my photos. I keep my distance. I have a feeling that what we're seeing is a mating display. The male is trying to hold on to the female's shell. He doesn't quite manage it. Maybe another time.
These turtles aren't bothered by our presence. In fact, they seem to quite enjoy our contact.
Okay. Look, I know it's against the rules, but the turtle's the one inviting me. A little waltz. Just the two of us. It's as if it's flying. So slowly, so smoothly. It's really quite majestic. We have a little dance, and then off it goes into the blue, towards the open sea. Bon voyage. At each step along my journey around the world, I like to get up early, scout out my diving sites, and make the most of the light of the rising sun. I've come to French Polynesia to photograph sharks in the open sea. A black-tip reef shark is hunting in just a few centimeters of water. It would be great if there were lots of places around the globe where nature was just there, where it had a chance. When we were kids, we'd have little fish swimming around our feet, but you don't find places like that anymore. Here, you can see sharks hunting. It's amazing. Unfortunately, sharks have very bad reputations. There are only very few sharks that are dangerous to humans, just 3 species. Sharks like that are practically pets. You can almost tame them. They're so stunning and amazing. If you're not aggressive towards them, they won't be aggressive to you. They're more scared than anything.
This morning, things are getting lively above the surface too. Seabirds have come to greet our photographer.
Hi Michel, how's it going?
Hi Joe.
News from our friend?
Ready to leave, waiting for us.
We've come to Tahiti to meet the tiger shark. The tiger shark is one of the 3 largest shark species, along with the great white and the hammerhead, measuring 5 meters in length and 500 kilos in weight. It's quite the giant among the other 500 species of sharks identified around the planet. Michel Beg guides us to a diving spot where the tiger shark has been spotted several times. Michel is an active member of the Polynesia Sharks Observatory, an association that collects information about the lives of sharks in the archipelagos.
There isn't much of a current, is there?
A diver spots some sharks by the boat. The black-tip shark swims near the surface, alerting us to a hive of activity.
There are about 20 grey sharks and 3 or 4 lemon sharks circling. The current isn't too strong at the moment.
Visibility?
Good visibility, 25, 30 metres for now. These are good conditions.
The fisheye lens is a 10mm, right?
It's like a fisheye perspective, with a convex view so you can take photos above and below water at the same time.
We don't attach it to our wrists because sometimes the animals catch the device and swim off with it. So it's better that they just swim off with the device rather than the device with the diver attached.
What's the maximum depth here?
15 meters.
Okay, that's good. We can collect it later, if they haven't swallowed it.
In this huge and relatively shallow aquarium, the grey and black tip sharks can be found swimming in large groups. They approach us out of curiosity, but show no signs of aggression. At this time of day, they're sleepy and swim peacefully.
That's how I like to watch them, just in their natural habitat, without having to attract their attention with food.
This activity demonstrates the lively nature of these Polynesian depths, and yet there are no tiger sharks to be seen. You never know when it might show up. It's up to the shark.
We've noticed changes in behaviour in the same shark, depending on the day. It might be very calm, docile and gentle one day, and then seemingly angry the next. You see, it's just like humans. Sometimes they just have bad days.
Michel Beg takes photos of all the tiger sharks he meets and indexes them on the association's website.
For now, we don't have a precise scientific aim, we just have a naturalistic focus. Instead of just diving and observing the sharks, we're trying to catalogue them and find out more about them, because no studies have ever been carried out on tiger sharks in Polynesia before. This shark is a female, which I called TO3. We know this one a bit better because we've been following her for 2 years. At one point, she was 2.5 meters. She had a lovely immaculate skin as a juvenile shark. We saw her when she was pregnant in 2012. We were also able to photograph her on the 4th of January 2013, where she looked huge, as you can see in the photo. What's interesting about the photo on the 15th of March is that she's slim again. So, it's interesting because we know that she gave birth between these two dates. Since the two dates are quite close together, we can assume that she gave birth relatively close to here. She didn't go to the far depths of Tuamotu to give birth. That could be an interesting observation from a scientific standpoint. We also monitor the development of her dorsal fin, which is very interesting because when we first saw her, her dorsal fin was immaculate with no scars. It was sleek, clean and flawless. Then, over time, we noticed a few mating scars. Mating is very violent with tiger sharks and can sometimes result in the death of the female due to her injuries.
Joe and Michel try their luck again in the same spot as the day before.
We're going to dive to a maximum depth of about 15 to 17 meters. First, we'll try and find a shark deep down, and then, if it cooperates, we'll try and lure it towards the surface, but no promises.
Okay. It's odd. Most of the sharks have gone. It's a completely different atmosphere. Michel tries an age-old technique. He hopes to attract a tiger shark's attention by making some noise.
And it works. This female can't have been far away. Her presence has scared away all the other sharks. It's not long before she's joined by another female.
This presence of tiger sharks is encouraging. Since 2012, sharks have been protected across the whole of French Polynesia. The archipelago has become the largest shark sanctuary on the planet.
Ask any diver that has been coming here for the last 20 years. 15 years ago, you hardly ever saw these creatures. Joe will agree with me. We used to go on expeditions down to the far depths of Tuamotu in very difficult conditions, and we'd get average or even rubbish results compared to what we're able to achieve now in Tahiti.
2 tiger sharks, 2 females, one of which was huge. She must have been about 4 meters 55. Absolutely huge, so mild and so gentle. No aggression at all. Michel stroked her. She was 50 centimeters away from him. He stroked her. It's difficult because it's against all the rules, but it's so amazing to have such a huge animal swim past you.
The sharks didn't come to the surface like Joe had hoped they would, but he's still delighted with this encounter.
Did you see she had a damaged fin? That's TO1. Her mating marks are quite recent. She's only had that big vertical scar less than a month.
Right.
Her dorsal fin is really quite damaged.
Yeah.
Did you notice how tame she seemed? She wasn't very feral.
Amazing.
Did you get some good photos?
Oh, yeah. Despite all the rules, you couldn't help but give her a little cuddle when she swam 50 centimetres from you. It's quite tricky.
We have a real love story going on, her and I.
Oh, yeah, I understand. I can feel the animal's mood, and it shows no aggression towards me. It swims back and forth quite calmly. It goes about its life. It lets me take photos. If there's aggression, you know about it when it comes to sharks. If they're aggressive and they want to approach their prey, they bend and curl their bodies. But just then it was swimming straight ahead, nice and calmly. Why should I be scared? No reason at all.
There are certain species of shark that are very easy to study and observe, which we have a lot of data on, but the tiger shark is relatively rare, and we don't have huge amounts of data on them. To see what we've seen today is quite extraordinary for us.
"90% of the great sharks' populations have disappeared from the seas and the oceans since the 1950s. In places where they're not protected, unlike Polynesia, they're fished for squalene, as shark liver oil is used for cosmetic purposes, and their fins are cut off and eaten in soup all over Asia. This is why Joe often shows the photos he takes to the locals in the countries he visits. He mainly speaks to children in order to make them aware of the underwater treasures that lie in their surroundings.
What's that?
A common stingray.
Ah, that's what I saw underwater just now.
Ah, yes, I showed you.
Exactly. There's 2 of them there. And what's that?
How many are there? 3?
That day, there were 40 of them. They kept turning.
And the fish, are they long-nosed emperors?
Yeah. That's a silver tip. Look at the white stripes on it.
That's a great white.
No,
Where was that?
that's in Rurutu. If you see someone throw plastic in the sea, go and tell him. Look, sir, there's a bin for that. The sea isn't a bin.
I saw someone chuck all of his stuff in the sea. He left without picking it up.
That's not good. You should tell him, sir, pick up your plastic, don't throw anything in the sea. Okay? Well done. Give me 5. There we go. There's a massive build-up of plastic. This piece of plastic, 30 meters deep, can kill turtles, dolphins or fish that get trapped in it. But then the plastic also breaks down into little pieces of plastic that are 2 millimeters big, which get eaten by all the fish. The fish that could feed all the other creatures if they didn't die from this plastic. But ultimately, the worst part, who else eats the fish?
We do.
Exactly. So it falls on us. So everything we throw in the sea will come back to haunt us one day.
Everything we throw on the ground ultimately finds its way into the sea. Through the rivers and streams, 8 million tons of plastic flows into the oceans each year. Such pollution causes the death of many mammals, such as turtles, and it kills birds. Plastic floats and decomposes. Pushed along by the currents, this soup of plastic gathers into 5 huge floating dumping grounds in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. These 5 huge gyres collect the plastic between the surface and the shallow water. If we do nothing about it, these gyres will grow 10 times the size by 2025. In the middle of the Atlantic, the Azores amass the plastic pollution that drifts off our shores. These reefs have become huge open-air bins. Boyan Slat, a young Dutchman, is studying this phenomena. He has noticed that the pollution is constantly increasing. This rubbish may be visible, but it transports an invisible type of chemical pollution that is much more dangerous to the environment and to humans.
It's just, it's incredible, since this is just the edge of the North Atlantic Gyre. So you see quite some plastic over here. So when there are like storms and the current is coming from the west, this is what reaches the islands of the Azores. Well, what they found is that attaching to the plastic, there are chemicals that are 1 million times higher in concentration than in the surrounding seawater. These chemicals, they can be found in very low trace concentrations in the entire oceans. But once they attach to the plastic, then they have a serious concentration, and that way, this is a pathway into the food chain for these chemicals.
That's old. Look, that's been in the ocean for 30 years maybe.
He may only be in his 20s, but Boyan Slat hopes to have developed a way of catching the plastic in the oceans.
We have now placed a 40-meter long floating barrier in the water. And what we are trying to look at is to see if indeed the plastic gets caught and the plankton doesn't get caught. I hope it's still there.
Let's hope so. Otherwise, we're putting plastic into the sea.
Let's not talk about that.
This prototype should allow us to see whether Boyan's theory has worked. The floating barrier catches the plastic, which then gradually slides into the centre.
If our theories are correct, we should be able to find the same amount of plankton in both nets, and we shouldn't be able to find any plastic in the one that's closest to us.
Okay.
This experiment is a preface to a giant project. The barrier of the future will stretch 100 kilometres in length. The aim is to clean the oceans of the plastic that gathers along the ocean currents.
The next phase would still be R&D, which would take 3 to 4 years to develop it up to the fully working prototype. So then we would be at about 10 kilometers of scale. And then after that, if the funding is there, we would be ready for the full-scale execution.
Okay, because Eduardo's getting nervous. We have to be in harbor before nighttime. It's his responsibility also.
There we go.
Scientists have their doubts as to whether this project will resolve this huge problem, collecting 100 million tons of plastic from the world's oceans. Scientists may be sceptical, but Boyan believes in it and has involved investors. He has raised $2 million to carry out his research. For the moment, his project is just in the planning stages, but other more outrageous projects have often been born from a sheet of paper before one day becoming a reality.
For the next part of my journey, I'll meet those who live out at sea. But before I get there, I'll use my time to sort through my latest photos.
This here is the Bahamas on Cat Island, one of the 700 islands that make up the archipelago. There we will find a hill that overhangs the ocean. The inhabitants call it a mountain, but it's quite easy to climb to the top of Mount Alvania, the highest point in the Bahamas. A hermit once built his house and a chapel there.
We're at the highest point in the Caribbean, from where we can see the Caribbean Sea to the right and the North Atlantic to the left. Over here, it's pale blue, and over there is the tannic blue of the Atlantic, which is much less subtle. But it's amazing to see two huge seas like that, just 400 meters from one another. I've come to the open sea to observe the oceanic white-tip shark.
This shark normally swims near the surface and can be identified thanks to its large rounded dorsal fin. The oceanic white-tip is without doubt one of the most stunning sharks of all the seas and oceans. It's also one of the most dangerous. People have always claimed that it devours castaways. But this quick-thinking and powerful opportunist is, above all, a cleaner that does great favours for the oceans.
Sharks are like the sea's antibiotics. 99% of sharks feed off sick or elderly fish, right? Or shellfish. They help balance out the levels of different species. If you let the species of sick fish continue growing, epidemics would spread within different species of fish, and they'd no longer be edible. It's just as important that we keep sharks as it is that we keep bees for pollination.
The water in this spot is the cleanest and most transparent in the world. The dense blue colour of the great depths shows up the oceanic white-tip, which can be distinguished from other shark species by its unique silhouette.
What a beauty. Its eyes are lively, it's watching me. It's curious more than anything. It's curious to see who is intruding into its home. It's not aggressive, but I need to be on my guard. It can all happen very quickly if it changes its mind.
The Bahama archipelago is the best place in the world to study sharks. Dr. Samuel Gruber of the University of Miami set up his research laboratory here in 1990. He's now 77, but continues to survey the mangrove swamp in Bimini Island with his team, because this is the place where lemon sharks are born and raised.
I'm going to show you what these lemon sharks look like in their natural state. This is perfect habitat for lemons. Then we'll feed them a little bit just to get them to where they're comfortable with us. Then we'll catch one with that dip net. See, this is a little ground up pieces of fish. And the sharks are way down there. They're around the corner way down there where they mill around at the end of the lake. And you can see that there's little pieces of bait that float there. And as the current goes, it brings it to the sharks, and they smell it, and they come back to us. They know something's up. Get ready. Get ready. Anytime, Tris.
Yeah, bravo!
I will, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case there's a hole in one.
Is it a female?
Wait. Let me just put him to sleep and get him to relax, and then we can look carefully.
He's been bitten now by another one.
Probably.
Yeah.
Let him breathe.
The shark has something in its mouth. The doctor tries to get it out.
Wow.
It's a fish hook, and it's so big in relation to the size of the shark. If you put that on a human scale, as in the shark's face compared to mine, if you used the same scale on a human face, I'd have a hook this big in my face.
The team takes a DNA sample.
So this is probably, it looks like it's a year old, that one.
Okay.
Okay.
This fin clip will be sent to Chicago, where it will be analysed, and then we will fit it into our family tree.
You said family tree.
Yes.
So you are actually following the generations of Fleming sharks for the last 25 years.
Yes.
Whoa, so how many generations? What is the...
We have three generations, newborn, and then their mother, and then the grandmother.
Wow, that is some work.
See, with that piece of genetic material, we can tell who that baby shark's parents were. So we know the parents without ever seeing them. So we can say who the parents were, who the babies were, and then we can see who the parents were and say who the grandparents were. It's so unbelievable. But it's only because of all of this and these little incredible animals who will stay around and let you do whatever you want, and they're still very, very fine.
This is because we have a mangrove.
Straight shark.
55.5.
Straight shark.
And then the fork length is 60.
They then take length and width measurements to complete their database.
Is 73.
Okay, lift up.
Okay, it's 2.7 minus 0.8.
Bye, little guy.
We have a small population here. Maybe 100 females use bimini, and different ones use it. And we've learned only that the females use the nursery, the males do not. Males don't come back, females do. Now the reason for this is because it's a small population, and if all the same males and females came back, you have inbreeding. So they know that from evolution, from their mechanism to keep the gene pool patent.
I'm making the most of this closeness to the baby sharks to take photos of them mid-air, mid-water.
Here, big boy. Here you go, big boy. Woo!
Okay?
What?
All around Bimini, the Shark Lab studies all the sharks that swim in the waters of the Bahamas. A nurse shark swims by, letting us know that we are in her territory. The nurse shark hides in underwater caves during the day. They sometimes live in small groups and sleep until nighttime, when they come out to hunt. Tristan, the laboratory director, is studying this clever, powerful shark. In order to survey and identify them, he has no choice but to go and look for them at the bottom of their cave. The shark is not at all happy with this rude awakening. Watch your legs. He turns it on its back, which immediately sends it to sleep.
Yeah, okay, great. Well done, guys. That's it. Careful. Push her in. Okay. Woo!
Nice size.
Yeah.
Strong guy, huh?
Yeah, very strong. Took us for a ride.
Ah, it's a female, huh?
Uh-huh. The male have 2 claspers.
Yeah.
So you can see those are for feeling the ground, the
Yeah.
barbells, and then its
Yeah.
mouth has crushing parts similar to a ray. And that's why it's called a nurse shark, because the noise it makes when it's out of the water sounds like a nursing baby.
Oh, I didn't know that. What about winking?
They won't wink. They
won't
don't
wink.
have that membrane.
Yeah.
So when we first capture a new shark, the first thing we need to do is check to see if it's one we've already tagged. So I'm gonna grab the tag reader here, and Brian's gonna pick the shark up, and we're just gonna quickly check to see if it's got one. And if it had one, it would have a
beep.
A beep. But as you can see, there is no beep.
Okay.
So this is a new shark, and we're gonna place a small microchip tag in it. This tag is the size of a grain of rice.
Oh, I see. That's
really small.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a long 15-digit number. Put that inside, push in. And we'll push this in and then press this down. And then obviously the tag will go inside the shark.
I see.
Okay? Take our reader, which is here, and then we have our number.
Oh, great.
Just like a salmon or a turtle would, they come back to the exact same spot that they were born to give birth themselves. And that has very important implications for managing the sharks. And this is the only place in the world that we know this information for any shark species. And it's because of Dr. Gruber's work since the 1990s that we've been able to determine this unbelievable fact.
The Shark Lab is a marine biology laboratory which attracts researchers from around the world. Many students come and spend 2 or 3 years here. Under Tristan's guidance, they study sharks as they write their theses. They study all types of shark, particularly the tiger shark. It's a very powerful great shark. Jack prepares a solid cable to catch it with.
We use circle hooks so that we only catch them in the cheek, not necessarily the throat. Keeps the sharks a lot safer. And essentially when we're setting, we go out, we hook them through with the barb nice and clear. We attach these ones off to the main line, we throw them in. Now every 4 hours, we're gonna go out through the night and we check for these for when these floats are down underneath the water. And whenever we get the floats down, that means we've got a shark on. The sharks don't necessarily feel it. This will go through their mouth, which is a very, very strong part of the shark. Their jaws are incredibly very strong.
The line is ready, but will the tiger shark bite the hook? The whole Shark Lab team takes turns over 24 hours to keep watch over the line.
But I'm supposed to be on the workup boat with Joe. Four teams going out, 8:30, 12:30, 4:30 and 8:30. 4 hours between each one. So there's 4 hours between each check.
Yeah. And then if we get a tiger over, how big?
2 meters. Over 2 meters, we'll call
go out on the twin beat and then
we should actually have that green chafage around it.
Tristan sets up a satellite beacon, which will be placed on the shark.
The tube is round like that, and you crimp it there.
Yeah. Okay. That's
I wasn't sure about
worries.
it myself.
Exactly.
The team waits all night. In the morning, a tiger shark bites the hook. He swims in circles as he awaits his freedom. Before that, he needs a medical visit. Catching the tiger shark isn't easy, but Rachel has experience and the shark is quickly tied up. He won't be held prisoner for long.
We're about to begin the workup on the shark, so taking length measurements, DNA, stabilize isotope. We'll insert a tag into it, so if we recatch it, we'll get that movement and growth information from the shark. All right.
The doctor supervises this young team who are gradually learning the ropes.
All right, where are we at now?
DNA and isotope.
Just as with every capture, we use the sample of a tiny piece of fin to establish the shark's identity. Rachel installs the beacon without hurting the animal. This operation is painless for the shark.
All right. 365, 376.
Okay.
All right, are we good for release?
Did we get a sample for, go! All right, now remove the hook. All right. Now.
For the tiger shark, this experience will soon be little more than a bad memory. All the information collected is meticulously analysed back at the Shark Lab. The satellite data provides information on the movements of these sharks.
And the idea is that we can look at habitat partitioning. We can look at the movements of these animals within the different habitats and how the sharks overlap and how they are more abundant in particular areas. And this device is sending an acoustic signal. Every 90 seconds to 120 seconds, it emits this pulse that's unique to that transmitter. And so when the shark swims within one of these zones, the receiver, this thing here, picks up the unique ID, and we can then get a date, a timestamp for that animal and when it's used that area.
This research helps us learn about the ways these sharks live and reproduce. By getting to the bottom of some of the mysteries that surround them, Dr. Gruber hopes to reveal the truth about them.
The doc isn't scared of sharks anymore. He even has the great hammerhead eating out of his hand. I personally don't like feeding sharks, but each to their own, I guess. Gruber is sharing the results of his research with the next generation. He's hopeful that these young people will follow suit and protect sharks in the years to come.
They see what it is for real. They see it's got adaptations, it's got eyes, it winks, it's got an umbilical cord. So it gives them a feel for what these sharks are. You know, it's obviously not a monster, and it's not going to kill you. So they get a little more feeling, and so we're like ambassadors to the students to let them know what we're really talking about. Then we bring the message home. Freaking amazing, fantastic these fish are. Now look at the difference between a nurse and a lemon. Now lift them up and look at the shark mouth differences. And look at the cute little barbels there. The lemon sharks don't have that, okay? Now let's look at the dorsal fins and compare them. Show it sideways like this. Look at me. Look at me. Like parallel. Look at me. But your hand's in the way. Get that thing away from me. And pretty soon, I've watched like 3 generations. I've been almost 60 years in this business, a little bit, 56 years. And I've watched the change. It's been extraordinary. No, honestly, truly. When I first started, the only good shark was a dead shark, because sharks were bad and they had to be killed, and they would eat you for breakfast. But as the years went by, I saw that change radically.
We can hope for things. We have to hope.
In that regard, I'm very optimistic.
I haven't quite finished with the tiger shark. I really want to get some photos of it in shallow water. Dr. Gruber told me about an amazing spot in North Bimini.
Joe?
Yeah?
Welcome to Tiger Beach.
Great.
This is a very famous site here. We call this Shark 30.
That's the dive spot?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you look, we already have a couple tiger sharks here swimming around us.
Yeah.
They are waiting for you.
For me, for everyone.
Yes.
Tell me, why do we call this place Tiger Beach?
You know, honestly, because there's a bunch of tiger sharks here. It's very sandy bottom. It kind of resembles a beach.
Do we know why tigers come especially to this spot?
I've been coming out here 9 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't tell you why the tiger sharks are here.
This time, the tiger shark won't be able to escape my lens. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. The grey sharks and lemon sharks are swimming near the surface. This means that the tiger shark has chased them away from the bottom. It gives me a chance to take a few mid-air, mid-water photos.
The silhouette of the tiger shark can be seen beneath the water's surface. Several tiger sharks can often be seen at the same time at this diving site, and Joe is backed up by a safety team. He has been instructed to always keep his eye on the sharks, but they come at him from all angles.
People often prefer tigers to lions, but I prefer the tiger shark to many other sharks because of its stripes and its strength. And it swims past you so slowly, and when it looks at you, it really looks at you, and you can see its eye following you. Even when it's gone past you, it watches you from the sides. And it's this interaction with the shark. It moves past so softly, knowing that it can jet off at any moment. But it's a very beautiful shark. It's a very beautiful shark, but unfortunately it has a bad reputation. It's so close. Oh, go on, I'm going to give it a stroke. I kept my distance from the first shark I saw 30 years ago. I didn't sleep at all the night before. But now I've got to know them a little better. I will always remember my first tiger shark. It swam past my Zodiac boat. When you see a shark that's bigger than your boat, it puts the fear of God into you. But when you're surrounded by the immensity of its underwater world, it seems much more approachable. And you don't have air problems when you use tanks. There's no reason to panic. You just have to open your eyes and watch. That's all. There are now 6 tiger sharks around us. We have to keep our eyes peeled.
Despite the team's wealth of experience, the situation escalates quickly.
You have to keep looking around you and push them away gently. No sudden movements.
The shark's behavior changes and starts becoming curious and aggressive.
It closes its eyes upon contact.
They push the divers and then one of them goes to attack.
Right, it's time to go back up. Any shark can become dangerous if you start feeding it by hand. It's just like feeding a lion by hand, really. When they're in a group, they act a bit like wolves. You'd better watch out. You have to be careful. They're all around you. You have to keep your eyes open. All these discoveries make me eager to continue my adventure and go further into the open sea, far from these inhabited lands. I want to journey from ocean to ocean and discover new territories and experience new adventures.